Well, hello, YouTube viewer. My name's Dom Geneva, and I have a radio show Saturdays right here in Rochester, New York on WYSL, and it is called the No Nonsense Roundtable. And I interview a lot of different people, and I've had this show since 2019, over 400 shows, and this has got to be the most interesting conversation I think I ever had. It is with an F-35 pilot. And if you know anything about military aircraft at all, or aircraft period, it is the most sophisticated airplane ever made. And he is going to be here. Major William Horn is going to be here this weekend performing at our air show. And if you want to go to the air show, it is at rockairshow.com that you can get your tickets. But beyond that, I got a chance to spend a lot of time with him last night from his home, and he has stories, and he tells you about the plane and how things work, and it's just a fantastic interview. So with that, I'm going to introduce you to Major William Brankles uh, Horn, and here you go.
The No Nonsense Roundtable, a weekly radio show and podcast where host Dom Geneva interviews guests from all walks of life, all with amazing stories to tell. And now, here's your host, Dom Geneva.
Well, welcome everybody to another edition of your No Nonsense Roundtable. Dom Geneva here every Saturday, and on the YouTube is where you can find our previous shows. And I have to say, we've had like 400 shows so far since 2019, and I have with me somebody who is a proverbial rock star. I have to tell you, this fella. How old are you, William?
I am 34.
34 years old. Oh my God. He has let's put it this way. I won't tell you quite what he does yet. This will be like that old show, What's My Line? But he's in charge of $100 million piece of equipment, and and that's what makes him a rock star. So, Rochester guy. His name is William Horn. And William Horn, what's your call sign?
All signs Brankles.
Ankles is. I mean, did you break your ankle at one time, or?
I sure did. There's a story behind that one. We can get to it whenever you'd like. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's short for broken ankles, with another word in there that I can't say.
Well, everybody probably has a hint now that the fella is a
Yeah.
pilot, okay, because it's something that he does. And I was telling William before the show that we have a tradition on the show of honoring vets. He's not quite a vet. Yeah, you can't be called a vet really until you leave the service. But I just want to give you an idea of how many people have been on the show and what they have done, and the respect that the roundtable has for these people. Now, one of them is Casey Bukowski. Do you know Casey by any chance?
Don't know the name.
You'll know him. You'll know him this weekend.
Okay.
Casey Bukowski was a waist gunner on a B-17. Plane crashed, POW. I mean,
Okay.
102 years old. I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago. I mean, and
Wow.
he's going to be at the air show. But can you believe that? I mean,
Wow, that's an incredible story.
then Jack Foy. I interviewed him like a year or two ago, and he was in the Battle of the Bulge. I mean, you talk
Wow.
about these veterans, right? David Bass. David Bass was one of the Marines that was assigned to the Reagan White House, and he, as an Afghan vet, and then here in Rochester, Nick Stavanovich is the director of Veteran Services. He joined right after 9/11 because 9/11 really pissed him off. Okay,
Yeah, fair.
and there's a couple, Steve McAlpin and his wife Heather, who met on the battlefield in Afghanistan.
Wow.
I mean these people. I mean, unbelievable, right?
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's great to see some Rochester representation. I think generally a pretty low military community around here.
yeah,
So it's good to see.
yeah. Now you're from Rochester. Rochester itself is one of the towns.
I grew up in Victor, and then my parents moved over to Pittsburgh after all the kids got out of high school.
Hmm.
So I
So,
got himself a little closer.
So, if you haven't guessed by now, he is a pilot of the F-35, which is also called the
Or the Lightning 2.
Lightning. Okay,
Yeah,
the
named
Lightning.
after absolutely legendary Lightning 1, although it wasn't called the 1 at the time, of course.
Yeah, yeah. That's well. That's the thing. I mean, some of these planes are just iconic,
Mhm.
and I mean, this is the most sophisticated fighter plane on the planet ever, and it's stealth. And I mean, how do you get there? How do you get to the point where somebody hands this $100 million piece of machinery to you and say, "Oh yeah, well we trust you to fly this thing."
Yeah, obviously, it's a long process. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot of steps. I'll come back to the steps here in a moment. And to be allowed to fly it on a day-to-day basis, you have to build that trust up, through your reputation, your flying skills. But bottom line, you start to be a pilot in the Marine Corps. You have to go to college, graduate with really, a degree in good standing.
Hmm.
You go join the Marine Corps, you do officer candidate school. And if you're lucky enough to be selected for an air contract like I was, you go to flight school. And when you're in the jet pipeline, it can take anywhere from 3 to 5 years for flight school. And by the time you get to the FRS, the Fleet Replacement Squadron, which is where I am, you have maybe 200 military hours by that point,
Hmm.
and you get your naval aviator wings at the end of that flight school. And at that point, you start flying a $100 million aircraft. You still have to train on it, and it takes a year or two depending on kind of the generation, and then you're off to the fleet.
Well, the rumor is, or the general recognition of people is that the fellas like you are in the air show are the finest of the finest. I mean, you guys are you practice every day and whatever. And is that generally true? I mean, one of the things that I see that is probably in the calculus of who does an air show is that you have to have some personal skills too to give interviews like this and whatever. And probably everybody doesn't have that skill. What do you think?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's a whole lot that goes into it, and something I'll touch on real quick. You take a look at a lot of the Air Force teams, like the F-22, F-35
Hmm.
demo teams. Those guys, that's their full-time job, and they're incredible at what they do. And I would say I wouldn't call them better than me, but they put on an absolutely pristine professional show every time they
Hmm.
do it. And we're a little different in the regards that this is kind of a side gig for us, and we're lucky to get to do this and be selected for this. But on top of doing the air show circuit, we're full-time FRS instructors. It's kind of like our day-to-day job.
So, do you do any? Have you done any combat, or have you? Is there the potential that you would be doing combat?
We could not at the squadron I'm currently in, and I have not been to combat myself. I was stationed out in Japan for 3 years prior to this.
Hmm.
And if we experience combat in Japan, it's going to be a pretty bad time for everyone. So we do a lot of peacekeeping operations, stabilization, things like that out in Japan. Um, but the fleet replacement squadron that we're in, it's a training
Hmm.
squadron. So we won't get deployed as part of this squadron. After this tour, could go back to a fleet unit. And most of the Marine Corps VMFAs, flying F-35s, are deploying squadrons, and some of them are out there going to do that right now.
Hmm. Well, what's the biggest misconception you think people have about what you do? I mean, not the air show thing, but just generally speaking. I mean, you look at you look at some of the folderol in Top Gun, and they what do they find? They find a Tomcat, and they start it up and go down a runway that's only half a runway, and I mean that this nonsense and whatever. So give me a read on some of these things. I mean,
So
what are we taught that we shouldn't be taught?
I will say, I think the biggest misconception is that, once you finish your training, you are done. You're a great pilot. And, it's like driving a car. And
Hmm.
in some aspects, it is like driving a car. You get in your car and you put in the directions if you don't know where you're going, and you go there, you follow the directions, and you get there. You don't think about driving your car on a day-to-day basis. And in some regards, after flying hundreds and hundreds of hours, getting in the jet, it's like strapping on a backpack. You're used to it. You memorize where all the switches
Hmm.
are, and it's second nature. It feels like an extension of your body. But what's different, flying the aircraft itself is easy, but the biggest misconception is that, we have to stay current. Like our tactics and procedures
Hmm.
evolve every single day. And I study now just as hard as I did in college and in flight school, and that really never changes because there's always something new to learn to stay on the cutting edge. So flying itself is
Hmm.
not that difficult, but it's flying tactically and being proficient at those tactics that you have to train at on a day-to-day basis or you're going to lose your edge.
Yeah, there was a book written back when I was in college. It was by the name of Alvin Toffler, and it was Future Shock. And he said that things are changing so quickly. And believe it, this is 1975. He predicted this. Things are changing so quickly that once you graduate college and get your degree, you're obsolete in a year. And you got to
Yeah,
and you got to and you got to keep up with it. And now that's to the nth degree now.
it really is. And things are changing faster than ever.
Yeah, well, okay. So you mentioned car. I was a I worked for Chrysler for 17 years, and I had a dealership for 26 years. Okay, here's one of these nonsensical questions. So what kind of a car do you drive? Do you drive a really hot car, or is it a Toyota Camry? I mean, what? I mean, you guys have your reputation of having the hottest cars going. What do you drive?
All right, you're not going to believe it, but I will say, my wife and I, we got two cars, and our daily driver, we bought it pretty recently. We got a Toyota Tundra. It's been a
Okay,
great truck.
okay.
My daily driver, I imported my car I drove in Japan. It's a 1998 Subaru Legacy Sport Wagon. That's a 2.5 twin turbo. It's a 98. It's got
98.
it's got 60,000 miles on it. Drives like a dream, and
Yeah,
it's gold.
well, the one thing about the Japanese car, I have to give them that. I was a domestic dealer for all these years, but I mean, you can't kill them. I mean, the engines on
Yeah.
the engines on them are great, and obviously by seeing you on Zoom and hearing that you have a rather manageable ego. Well, I guess when you have $1 million plane, yeah, $100
Yeah.
million plane to
My
fly, having
my
a hot
primary
car,
ride's pretty
yeah, having a
exciting.
hot car, it ain't that big of a deal.
Yeah. So,
Oh my
no,
God.
so the Thunderbirds are all Air Force guys. Not necessarily all F-16 guys by trade. They would train them up on the F-16, just like the Blue Angels would train a guy. We recently selected a Marine to the Blue Angels as well, and he's
Okay.
over in F-18 flight school right now, learning the
Okay.
learning the wheels.
So you are on your own with this with the your F-35. Now,
Yeah,
do you have the Marine version of it that vertical takeoff and landing and stuff?
we do. Yeah, and I wouldn't say
Is that what
so.
you're going to be flying?
That's right. So
Hmm.
so we fly a solo demo. It's just a single aircraft.
Yeah.
But I will say, it's not just me on the team. We
Oh.
we we work on a volunteer basis, and so I got two other demo pilots. They're bringing the aircraft up tomorrow, and then they're going to serve as ground safety officers for the show. I'll be the one flying the demo. And then
Mhm.
we got a team of 10 to 12 Marines on any given show that we bring up. And, they serve on a strictly volunteer basis. And some of these guys, this is their third, fourth air show this year. We're pilot in the box all day, I think. And we're starting to, drones and UAVs are kind of the new hotness. It's we're trying to figure out how not only to counter that threat, but how to use it to our advantage as well.
Mhm.
Um, and part of that is, yes, eventually, I think there will be combat operations in fighter jets flown by either drones or autonomous vehicles. Not yet. Um, but what we can offer that, not maybe a drone could with a remotely piloted
Mhm.
aircraft, but for a UAV, an autonomous one, what we do that we make decisions that you have to be there to do. We've got rules of engagement, and actually be able to assess the scenario, and not in terms of ones and zeros, but there's an objective feel to the way things go out there, and you have to know, like, hey, if that aircraft that I just intercepted, he might be carrying missiles. In accordance with the ROE, maybe he's doing
Mhm.
something that looks like a hostile intent, but I haven't met the rules of engagement where a UAV might feel that it has.
Yeah. So you're talking about having a bit of instinct in what you're doing. I mean, the human factor.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think what you're going to see is there will be utility of having autonomous vehicles, but having a pilot in an aircraft out there at the same time is going to provide you, a ton of value, whether it comes to, updating the directions that
Hmm.
or the things that those UAVs are doing. Or maybe you're in control of them, you send it on a mission and then you go do your own thing. Or if you just use those aircraft maybe as sensors or something else. So you have a lot of options and a lot of it's still to be developed as we get, more technologically advanced every day.
Okay, I'm going to change direction a little bit now because of this silly question I haven't asked you yet. Everybody I get on the show, I ask them, and I can probably predict how you're going to answer this thing. What did you want to do when you were 10 years old?
What did I want to do when I was 10? I don't know if I thought about it too much.
Really? I
Yeah,
would
let's
have thought you
see.
would have said. I thought you would have just automatically answered. I wanted to be a jet fighter pilot.
You know, I will say the first time, I can't remember when it came out, maybe 94, but Independence Day. I don't really tell anyone
Oh
this
yeah,
story.
yeah,
But
yeah.
all right, so Will Smith
Yeah,
flying the F-18 Marine Corps
yeah.
VMFA 314 Hornet out in I can't remember the name of the base out in California. Saving the world in his Hornet, fighting the aliens. But that movie was the first one that I saw that was like, I want to be Will Smith in Independence Day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I know it's
yeah.
like kind of a dumb reference, but
No,
it's weird to say, but that movie kind of changed my life and like the direction.
I get it. Now, should I call you William or Bill? I mean, what? I mean, I just
Will's perfectly
Well,
fine.
okay.
Brankles, yeah.
Yeah, well. I can't tell you how many times that a police officer has said, "Well, I was watching Cops with my dad," or
Yeah.
and NYPD Blue or something like that. It inspired me to become a cop. It's not a strange story. I get some that are really nuts. I talk all the time about. I had two different women say that they were from Syracuse. Two different women. One was from Rochester. The other's from Syracuse. Say they want to be cowgirls.
Really?
Not a not a real big call for that here, in upstate New York, So you have to have a fallback position,
Oh
And
yeah.
speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about life in the military. We were
Hmm.
talking a little bit before the show that a lot of people, a lot of young people, are looking for a career,
Yep.
and the military is a great place. You get a marketable
It is
skill. Yeah, I mean, you can
100%.
retire in 20 years. You can go on to something else. And one of the things I truly believe, and I know I say this all the time. We discussed this on the show with Jeff Tyzik a year or two ago, the principal pops conductor of the RPO, and we were saying that you may not be able to be an opera singer, but you can be in the theater with the
Yeah.
opera, doing something opera-ish. And not everybody's going to be able to fly an F-35 or anything that is in the way of a vehicle, an airplane for the military. However, However, you can be in maintenance, you can be in an air traffic control, you can do. Let's talk about some of those opportunities that maybe people don't have on the top of their mind, and maybe their children might want to do.
Yeah, 100%. As far as, I joined the military in 2015. I've been in for 11 years now.
Hmm.
And I just signed an extension. I'm in this thing for the long haul. I love my job, obviously, can't get enough of it. And in terms of, what the Marine Corps offers, it's job stability no matter what the
Hmm.
economy is doing. It's the full benefits package. I don't have like a pitch prepared or something like that, but I felt pretty taken care of along the way, and it's a great group of people. It's a very small
Hmm.
organization, so everywhere you go, you're gonna re-meet
Oh
people
yeah.
that you knew 10 years ago.
Well,
Um,
once a Marine, always a Marine too. It's
yeah,
really, I mean, it's really a family.
it really is.
Yeah.
It's such a very tight-knit organization. As far as groups that I wanted to be in, like I was going to join the military, and I wanted to fly. And, looking around, it was like the Marine Corps, it seems like the best place to do that. And I didn't even know I could fly for the Marine Corps really until I went to talk to the recruiter over at the U of R.
And you're a Marine, so you don't hate the Navy.
No, we
If
love the
you're an
Navy.
if you're an Air Force guy or a uh, or just a regular a foot soldier, you don't like the Navy very much, do you?
I mean, I couldn't speak for the other guys, but we love the Navy around here. You know,
Like,
I've deployed with the Navy a couple
yeah,
times. It's a great group of guys, and I will say there's a lot of needling back and forth, but it comes
yeah,
from a
yeah, yeah,
place.
yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, if we're not talking trash, we don't like you.
Well, my, my I have to laugh. My wife is gonna kill me for saying this. She doesn't understand that about guys. You don't
Hmm.
go to a guy and say, "Oh, I really love you." No, you don't do that. Hey, you dirty SOB. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
Just it's. But you can't go overboard with it either. Because the guy
No,
ends up smacking
there's
the
a
hell
fine
out of you
line
too. Yeah, you gotta know what the limit is. Now,
Oh yeah.
let's talk about something silly. Let's talk about these call names that you have. Now, you get them
Yeah.
because you did something stupid or you vomited on the dog
Yep.
or so, whatever. This thing you know, where Tom Cruise is Maverick. We'd never have Maverick. That's too nice of
No,
a.
there are no cool call signs, and if there's a cool call sign at face value, it's an acronym for something embarrassing.
Oh my God, it does become a brotherhood, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got to be a team. I mean, you're a ground crew and you have to, I mean, you got to work together. You got to be, having any consternation between the guys got to be horrible when you're talking about something that dangerous and expensive.
No, and it's an interesting environment too. And I kind of maybe have a different perspective on this than a lot of people. I worked in the real world, I guess, for lack of a better term, for about a year before I joined the Marine Corps. And so I got to look at, what a business environment was like.
Hmm.
And, I try to be a very professional person at work all the time. But I expect that. I'm sorry, no but there, but I expect that out of the guys most of the
Hmm.
time. But we are a warfighting organization, right? And when you go to a 9 to 5, there's no expectation that you would put your life on the line for one of your coworkers, right?
Hmm.
And so we do deviate sometimes, to be frank, from a professional mindset because, we have to build that brotherhood with each other, because we will, put down our lives to, save one each other or get the mission done if it comes down to it.
Well, that's what I admire about you people in any branch of the military is that when you have a bad day, it's really a bad
It's a
day.
really bad day.
Yeah, I mean, and even going beyond that, people in EMS and the police officers and whatever, when they have a bad day, it's a bad day. It's hard to forget that stuff too.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Maybe I can come up with a silly question for you now that we did that. We got how what you drive already. Okay. Uh, now, this is going to sound silly. Okay, but you bond with the plane. Like that's my plane. If you get a different plane, it's not the same feel or whatever. Do you name the plane? If you named the plane, you probably gave it a nice name. You didn't.
No, we would. I
If it backfired on you once, you don't give it a name of old fart or something. I mean, you respect the plane.
um
Each
yeah,
other's a different story. Yeah.
I will say we I don't think anyone really has nicknames for individual aircraft, but so we don't fly. It's also a misconception. So we each have a jet with our name on it, but we
Yeah.
don't always fly that
Oh,
aircraft.
really?
We have a maintenance department as part of our squadron, and on any given day they release, 8 to 10 aircraft for us to go fly. And you kind of fly whichever those eight are. So as maintenance is happening throughout some of the aircraft, sometimes, it's a multi-month maintenance process, and so you're not flying that aircraft for a while, and then you get a new one in the rotation. But while they don't have names and you don't fly the same jet every day, each of them does have a personality. Being a very advanced aircraft, there are these little quirks that happen all the time.
Uh-huh.
Maybe something like, hey, you have to restart that 4 times for it to work properly. But the other aircraft was like, it's just going to work. But this one, you have to do it 4 times,
Yeah.
which past 2 times, that's insanity. But someone figured
Yeah.
it out. And now we just restart that thing 4 times till it works.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because, well, the thing that's fascinating to me is that, my sick sense of humor. So somebody flies a plane with your name on it, and he screws something up. I mean, so so do you get tagged with that? I mean, that
No,
you're the
we
guy.
we always know who's flying each aircraft. But you
What's
could try to blame it on him, maybe.
so let's talk about some iconic aircraft of the past, and if what you would like to, what you would like if you had the choice to fly something from the past, what would it be? Would it be like a P-51 or an F-4 Phantom, or I mean, what did you miss out flying because you're so young?
I think my typical answer to this question is going to be the F4. I thought it was such an incredible plane. And then, like all the wild weasel type stuff. I don't know if you're
Mhm.
familiar with those stories. Just
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. Different era, and guys just getting the job done in a brick with wings, things doing Mach 2.5, something like that.
Well, but the
Incredible.
first ones didn't have a gun on them.
Yeah.
So
You know,
they depended on air-to-air missiles, and it was like there
yeah.
was no dogfighting. And then when they came,
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, but then their tactics changed when they put a gun on the darn thing.
I mean, these were the guys learning how to dogfight, in a jet. We
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
did it in
yeah,
previous wars, but
yeah.
that's a new thing, and it's totally different.
Hmm.
And especially because after I would say in, maybe World War II, we're in an era where the aircraft, like, we're pushing the boundaries of what a propeller
Hmm.
driven aircraft can do. And then we get into the 50s and 60s, we're like, well, we're pushing the boundaries of what an aircraft can do. I mean, you look at things like the X-15,
Hmm.
F4, you got, other aircraft doing Mach 3 out there, some
Hmm.
of ours, some of other countries. And it broadened the envelope of going back to tactics, the things that you have
Right.
to plan for and figure out how to counter, or also develop your own hardware that can counter
Hmm.
that. Um, so it was such an interesting era. You know what my uncle used to say, he was an A4 guy back in the 60s and 70s,
Mm.
and he would say, like, what we had back then, where we've consolidated warfighting capabilities down to a few aircraft. It's very efficient and they're all very good at what they do. But back then, because it was such a rapidly changing environment, the Navy, Marines, the Air Force, we're flying dozens of different, fighter type jets. Um, and if you had a unique problem, you put a different type of aircraft in it.
But the tactics had to change over time. I mean, the thing is,
Of
is
course, yeah.
from what, yeah, from what I read, especially with the F4 Phantom, it had to adapt with, well, especially when they were only using air-to-air missiles, they had to adapt their whole strategy, and the teamwork was one of the keys. You have to excuse me, I'm getting a little bit dry here. Uh, I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking.
Well, I got my old Red Bull here.
A Red Bull. That's a really good question. Coffee or energy drinks?
I'm typically a coffee guy. This late in the day, kind of turn down the coffee a little bit and have a nice cold drink.
Are any of the aviation movies good? I mean, have you seen anything that's,
I
yeah,
love them all.
really?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like, even, looking
Even the
back
goofy
on it,
ones? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you were probably a little bit younger when you saw the first Top Gun for the first time, right?
Oh yeah.
And looking at it now, I think I saw that movie for the first time maybe 2005.
Hmm.
It's goofy these days, but it's
Oh
an
yeah.
incredible movie, an incredible recruiting tool. And like, for 99% of the people that go watch that movie, they go, "Oh yeah, you can't use the F-35s, the bombers for that mission." And then you move on with an incredible movie. And like, looking at that, like, if we were planning that mission, I'd be like, I'm sure we could figure out a way to get this done.
I,
Um,
I know.
but
I know.
we wouldn't let a little bit of a plot hole get in the way of us enjoying what's an incredible movie.
Oh my God. So have you ever seen a UFO?
I can't say that I have personally. I've heard stories of other people that have.
Yeah, I mean, what's up with that? Maybe it's something from another dimension, and maybe it's China. Who the hell knows, right? Okay, okay. Let's. Oh, this is a good question I came up with. Okay, so when the next generation of pilots come by, the next 20 years, whatever, what do you think they're going to look back at now and think of you guys?
No, it's interesting. I mean, we're going to be flying the F-35 for a while. We're going to be flying probably the B-52 till 2100. So, there's going to be that's kind of a joke, but maybe not unrealistic. Um, and it's interesting because we're going to have these same aircraft flying in
Hmm.
the next generation of warfare. And we're going to be developing new aircraft that, bend the spectrum in ways that, we can't even anticipate right now the way it might go. Um, and so everything we're learning right now, we're going to be old dogs at that point. We're going to be trying to fly old tactics, and it's going to be tough for us to learn new stuff if we're still around by then. So we're really going to rely on the new guys to develop that new stuff as they see it. And there's always brilliant young guys showing up in the fleets, going to the weapons schools. That those are the guys who develop these tactics as they gain a little bit of seniority. But they're going to leverage, the lessons we've learned in modern warfare as they develop what right now is future warfare, but for them is modern warfare.
So, how many times is probably every day you get up there and you go, "Oh, this is really cool."
I would say it's never lost on me. Um, every time you do a max afterburner takeoff, you get kicked in the butt. You're doing like nearly 1 G of acceleration every time you take off in an F-35.
Hmm.
And you go launch, kicks you back in the seat. You can barely hold your head up because you're essentially laying on your back at that point. And it's an incredible feeling every time. It doesn't quite compare to a cat shot off the ship.
Hmm.
Um, those are incredible, but it's moments like that you can't really forget about. And then every time, so on a standard flight, we're gonna take off. We're gonna do an administrative flight join.
Hmm.
We're gonna do administrative procedures out to the airspace that we're gonna go do our practice mission in or real mission. Not where I'm at the squadron I'm currently at. We're running practice missions and training. You get out to the airspace, you go do your mission, and you come back. Mission's over. You fence out, turn off all your mission systems, get ready for the return back to your base,
Hmm.
and you get the flight joined up. And then you look outside, and you're just like, "I'm flying right now," and it never gets old.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a rare occurrence to have the opportunity that you have constructed for yourself. Now,
Yeah.
do you have somebody that in the military was your mentor and your inspiration?
Yeah, we each, especially in flight school, we get paired with what's called an on-wing, and mine was a Navy guy, Lieutenant Cornell. He was a P3 pilot actually, so he was one of my instructors back in when I was in primary flight training back in Corpus Christi, Texas. And he was kind of showing me the ropes, showing me what it's like to be part of the
Hmm.
Navy and Marine Corps. Um, I I guess I haven't really talked about that. Yes, we're in the Marine Corps, which we operate so closely with the Navy. And most of the time, when you talk about it, you're going to say Navy and Marine Corps. We're gonna fight you if you tell me I'm in the Navy, um, but we work so
Well,
closely with those guys, and I had the same experience with him. And he showed me what it's like to be part of, in his case, the Navy. And then, I was able to adapt that experience over to being in the Marine Corps. It's a very eye-opening experience, and a guy who will tell you straight to your face, like, what you just did was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But here's how you fix it. And
hmm.
so instead of just being like a critic, he's paired up with you every day. So he tells you all the bad things you're doing, but he's going to tell you how to do them right. And he's going to
Hmm.
be on you about it every single time you do something wrong. And he's going to make you a great pilot. So he was one of those guys for me. And, each of the flight schools, I'm sorry, that's just one. I could probably name drop a million guys right now that have helped me get where I am today.
Well, that's the concept that I have. I had my car dealership. We had a great reputation, but I wanted people to be brutally honest. I called it brutally honest.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take it personally. Be brutally honest. If we did something, we didn't do it right. Don't hide it. Tell me
Yeah.
so I can get better. And that's the mark I think of good management. Now, anything you can tell me that really scared the bejesus out of you?
Ooh, well, I will say most of my scary experiences come in the administrative portions of flight. That means like, flight joins, takeoff and landing, stuff like
Uh,
that. Not that long ago, I was doing the Naval Academy Air Show, and I had a stoval malfunction. So we're short takeoff and vertical landing
mhm,
stoval.
yeah.
Um, version of the jet. So I was coming into a hover over the in front of the Naval Academy over the Severn River, and I clicked the button to convert back into conventional flight, CTOL, conventional takeoff and landing is what we call it.
Mhm.
And I got basically stuck in a mode. I had a part failure that didn't allow me to go back to conventional flight. But my fuel planning didn't allow me to go back to Andrews Air Force Base, which is what I was operating out of, because I calculated fuel based on being able to fly conventionally, which burns a lot
Okay.
less
Yeah.
fuel.
All right.
So we're like, hey, Baltimore's straight ahead of me right off the nose for, 10, 12 miles. And so we made a quick decision while we were trying to troubleshoot the malfunction. I'm like, we're just going to go over to Baltimore and land. And a couple times during that one, I was trying to troubleshoot, and the jet's not flying like it's supposed to. It's giving me all sorts of, warning
Hmm.
tones that it doesn't like what I'm doing. So I'm
Hmm.
just trying to figure it out. All my autopilot's kicked off. So like I'm trying to troubleshoot and fly at the same time. Like I need a fourth hand to do all this stuff.
Hmm.
And then, you get on deck. I actually listened to the tapes. I was surprised because, like, when I was talking to air traffic control, I was like, I probably sound panicked on the radio. And I went back and played the tapes. I was like, sounded cool as a cucumber. I didn't feel like it though.
I can imagine.
Um, and then I get on deck in Baltimore. I land, I pull off onto the taxiway. I'm like in my book trying to, finish the
Yeah.
emergency procedure that I was dealing with. And I look up and there's like four fire trucks and like six ambulances around me.
Mm.
And I was like, oh yeah, I should probably tell them I'm fine.
That's right.
So
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. That was just a recent experience. It was pretty sketchy in the moment, but not too dramatic.
So, there's a famous story about Ted Williams, who was
Hmm.
a fighter pilot in the Korean War, and anybody doesn't know,
Incredible story. I think I know
incredible,
the one
yeah,
you're talking
incredible
about.
story. Yeah, a baseball player, Hall of Fame, the
Hmm.
best batter in baseball history,
Yeah.
and he had a malfunction with his jet, and he decided not to eject because he was afraid he would break his leg and ruin his baseball career. Yeah.
Well, I'm 5'8", so I can't say I have the same thought process on that one, but it's such an interesting story. Clint Eastwood's got some incredible stories himself.
Oh, I didn't know Clint Eastwood was had those stories.
Yeah, I can't remember the story. I may be talking stuff that I don't know
Mhm.
super well, but I remember hearing a story. I think it was Clint Eastwood about him getting in the like either like a cargo compartment or
Mhm.
like a nose turret of an aircraft and just kind of trying to go back to his base, and they ditched in the ocean and barely survived that one. I'll have to look that story up and send it to you.
Well, that's like the Maverick, So the guy hits Mach 10 and he ejects.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, just stop it. I mean, you know, he's shredded at 50,000 feet or whatever it is. He's not coming down and going to a diner and whatever. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So tell me something funny. So tell me something that in your career that was like, holy crap! I don't believe I just saw that.
Oh man. You know, nothing's really popping to the top of my head.
Okay.
I had a fun story. I remember there was one time, I won't say where and when, because the guy we did this to is probably going to get mad about it. But
Nobody listens to this show. Don't worry about it.
but my wingman and I, we were doing like a night training sortie.
Yeah.
This was out in Japan, in the Sea of Japan on the east side over there. And we had the airspace booked until it must have been like 9 p.m. or something like that. This guy was coming in. He was doing an upgrade, right? Flight. So he was basically trying to become a division lead, a four-ship lead at the time.
Hmm.
Um, and they got there early, and they wanted the airspace that we had reserved before our time was up. And they're setting up for their fight. They're doing like an 8v8 or something like that, and we're kind of right in the middle. We see all of these guys on the outside of the airspace, and
Hmm.
we're just like, okay, I guess we'll come back in between. They kick the fight off while we're still in the middle of the airspace on the way back, and
Oh.
my wingman and I, we had a couple full buckets of flares, so we gave them an exciting show, is what I'll say.
Oh, okay. Now we're going to do our Rochester test.
Been a while
What's your
since I've lived here. I'll do my best.
okay? What's your preference? Garbage plate or chicken French?
It's garbage plates all day.
Oh, oh my God. Uh, have you been to Don's Original?
Haven't been to Don's, I will
You
say.
gotta
I've
go.
been
It's been there
oh,
since 1948. You gotta go
okay.
there. My buddy,
I'll have to check it out.
I have a buddy of mine, Gene Cornish. He was in the he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame from the Rascals. He demands
Okay.
that I go there like once a week. It's a great place. He's been there since 1948. We already went through the car you drive, and you really don't mind having people see you in that. Uh,
And
you
it
know
is
where
right side drive.
do you, do you know where Savoya Bakery is?
I can't say that I do.
Ah, okay. You lose on that one. White hot or red hot?
It's a white hot, I think.
Okay, okay. Red Wings or the Amerks?
Ooh, I'm gonna get some hate for this, but it's the Amherst. I
Ah!
remember when I was in college. I think it was in college at least. Can't remember how long he's been playing now, but I loved watching Tage Thompson on the Amherst. It was incredible watching him play for them, and I'm so glad he's playing for the Sabres.
Well, everybody, the founding sponsor of the Genesee, the Genesee of the No Nonsense Roundtable is the Rochester Red Wings. So, so yeah, you lost on that one too. Uh,
Yep, yep.
a
But we
jazz
love Bruce the Bat Dog.
Bruce the Black. The thing about the Red Wings is that it's a great way to spend time with your family in the summer outdoors,
It is
which
100%.
all over the Amherst. But anyway, Jazz Fest or Corn Fest? Have you ever been to the Corn Fest?
I have a long time ago. I think I've been to the Corn Fest. I will say, I think I'm a Jazz Fest guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
You
you
know,
know,
we're we're a pretty big musical family.
oh,
My
are
dad
you?
was a conductor for many years.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you've heard of Finger Lakes Choral Festival, but that was my dad's baby
Oh,
when he was
wow.
still doing conducting.
Yeah, you should join I have a Facebook group, and it's the Rochester Music Mafia.
Okay, I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and what it is, it's for the regular working guys and gals that I mean, they're not going to get into the Hall of Fame or whatever, but they're doing great music every week, and they have these little venues. There's one in Avon, the Avon Park Theater. There's one in Lima, Fanatics, and they do a great job of entertaining you at a reasonable ticket price, and it's community oriented. And so what I'm trying to do is get different people from different genres of music together, because not everybody that likes rock and roll does not like,
Yeah,
jazz. So you can take your pick, whatever. So,
no, 100%.
ladies and gentlemen, it's another place that you can get products of the No Nonsense Roundtable. I have my own website too for I invented a town. It's called Middle Finger Lake. If I when
That's
I
a good
see you,
one.
I'll bring you a T-shirt when I see
Oh,
you.
that's perfect. Right between Canandaigua and Seneca.
It says it right on the shirt sorta on Cayuga Lake.
Oh, pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of on Cayuga Lake. Yeah, it's where life is perfect, it could always be better. Yes, I'm going to do something with that someday. I don't know what, but there's a website for it. So, at that we have a whole show here for the whole hour. Anyway, thank you for spending time with me. I
Of
really
course.
do. I appreciate what you do. I have the greatest respect for people that are in the military. Let's put it this way: you're not doing it for the money. It's
Yeah.
you're not doing it for the money. You're doing it for our country. You're doing it for your own good. You're doing it for the good of your community. And and like I said, you have to have that talent that you're doing a job like this, because you're very, very good at getting people to know you. So
Yeah.
it's a good quality to have. God bless you.
Well, appreciate it. Yeah, and thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone this weekend. It's good to be home as always.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It should be an awesome show, rain or shine. It's going to be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, yeah, and with that car, at least your wife's not going to be expecting you to pick up dates. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
don't have to
Try
worry
to get
about
in the
that,
wrong side
honey.
anyway.
You don't have to worry about that. Okay, well, take care, and we'll see you this weekend.
Yeah, I'll see you, Dom. Thanks for having me.
Well, boys and girls, I'm back, and that was quite an interview. And I really do appreciate being able to spend that much time with somebody uh, that manages $100 million piece of equipment. And he's a young fella, and obviously he is a very humble and wonderful guy. And I'm going to go to the auto show. I'm going to go to the car show, and I'm going to go to the air show this weekend. And I hope to see you there. I was a car dealer for too long. Thanks, and tune in and like and share this if you would, please. It helps out a lot. Thanks.
Thanks for listening. You can find our previous shows at nononsenseroundtable.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll make more.